When I was a seminary student at the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C., we were assigned on weekends to do pastoral ministries, sometimes to a parish and sometimes to another, religious organization. Well, one year I was assigned to do ministry at D.C. General Hospital, a large hospital not too far from the White House. And our particular group, we were assigned to help the chaplain at the hospital say Mass, and we would ring down patients from the 9th floor to attend Mass. The 9th floor was the psych ward. Now, the gentleman in the psych ward, this was the male division of the psych ward, the gentlemen in the psych ward all thought they were President of the United States. Now, the actual president at that time was LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson. But I remember talking to one guy, and I said, "And who are you?" And he says, "I'm Dwight David Eisenhower." I said, "Well, nice to meet you, General Eisenhower." And another one said, "I'm Franklin D. Roosevelt." And I said, "Well, Mr. Roosevelt, nice to meet you. You've been president for a long time now." I tell that story because they didn't look like presidents. They were in the psych ward, and obviously they had a mental illness. But one day, the story was flipped on me. They said we would go up to the 9th floor and pick up the gentleman in the psych ward. We'd take them down to the 3rd floor where the chapel was, and we'd say Mass. The priest would say Mass, and we would read, and we would help out, and so on. Then at the end of Mass, we'd return the gentleman to the 9th floor. We were told we could visit with them for a while and then head back to the seminary. So it's one particular Sunday. I had 6 guys, and I was ready to take them up to the 9th floor, and we got in the elevator door closed, and I pushed 9, and nothing happened. And I pushed 9, and nothing happened. I was getting a little bit panicky. Then one of the guys said to one of the other guys, elbowed him and said, "Look at him," pointing to me. "He's trying to get us to heaven. He can't even get us to the 9th floor." So apparently I didn't look like a future priest. That's exactly how Jesus looked to Pilate. He didn't look like a king. And Pilate's questioning was not sincere. It wasn't even out of curiosity. It was out of mockery. At that point, Jesus had been arrested by the kiss of a friend. He'd been denied 3 times by his very best friend, Peter. And he'd spent the night going back and forth between the high priest's house and Pilate's, back and forth. And now Pilate says, "So you're a king? Yeah, you look like a king, sure." And then when Jesus was crucified, he had the crime put on the cross, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." Not as an act of faith. Pilate didn't make an act of faith. He was saying, "Hey, you Jewish people, this is what your king looks like. Stripped naked, hanging on a cross, capital crime, dying. Yeah, what kind of king do you guys have?" What a mockery. How shocking to us who truly believe Jesus Christ is the King of Kings, the King of the universe. But we have to be careful that we don't make him look like or act like or seem like an earthly king. When I was at Christ the King, we had a statue commissioned for the front courtyard. It was going to be our signature statue called Christ the King. And I talked to the sculptor who lived in Minnesota and Collegeville, and I said, "I'm not an artist at all, but I know what I don't want. I don't want Jesus sitting on a throne. I don't want him wearing a crown. His kingdom is not of this world." If you've been to Christ the King, and I know many of you have, of course, you see that beautiful statue. Jesus is riding on a donkey. He's barefoot, and he's coming in to help all those. On either side is our people who are in prison, people who are dying, people who are hurting. His kingdom has nothing to do with power, nothing to do with prestige, nothing to do with rank. It's all about service, what we today would call servant leadership. And didn't Jesus say that so many times? "My kingdom is not of this world." Remember when the brothers James and John were fighting over, who's going to get the places right next to Jesus in your kingdom? You keep talking about this kingdom you're going to. Well, you want to be on your right and left-hand side. In our system of government, they're saying we want to be vice president and secretary of state. And I think Jesus just shook his head, and you guys still don't get it, do you? In my kingdom, it's not lording it over others. It's not making your authority felt. It's serving others. If you want to be first in my kingdom, you have to be last of all. If you want to be special in my kingdom, you have to be the servant of all. So that's what Jesus' kingdom is all about, and his kingship, that of service. Now, when the 3 young girls are going to be baptized, we say they are going to be priest, prophet, and king. I'll say that as I put the oil on their foreheads. Priest, prophet, and king. It means that they are going to belong to the kingdom of God, and they are to act like citizens of that kingdom. Most of us, I think, were probably born here in the United States, and you know that by being born here, you become a citizen automatically. I'm sure some of you have become citizens through the process of becoming a citizen. But being a citizen in the United States has its responsibilities and its privileges. So when these 3 are baptized, as most of us, I'm sure, were baptized, we become citizens of the kingdom of God. That too has responsibilities and privileges. One privilege is eventually to receive the Eucharist. That's why we have a river running from the baptismal font down the center aisle, connecting to the altar. By virtue of baptism, you are privileged to receive the Eucharist. But the main thing is we are responsible for making Jesus' kingdom happen now, 2021, soon 2022. How many times a day do we say the Lord's Prayer? We'll say it again in a few moments at our Mass. Thy kingdom come. When we say thy kingdom come, we're not saying, oh God, I want to die tonight and get to heaven. No, I don't. We're saying, your kingdom come through my words and actions. I must be an agent of your kingdom happening here on earth. And what is that kingdom all about? That kingdom is all about peace and justice, caring for others. I am so proud to speak to this community over and over again, saying how generous you are. All of our outreach programs, you go way beyond what we expected. We had to keep making more tags last weekend because we kept running out of tags for the angel tree. I don't know how many hundred we made, but we had to make 200, 300, 400 more. Thank you. That's what the kingdom is all about. The kingdom is not saying, I'm special, I'm Catholic, I belong to this parish, I volunteer in this parish. That means nothing. What kingdom is all about is what you do day in and day out, not just attending Mass on a Sunday, but giving service to others. This is the last Sunday of the calendar year for the church calendar. Next Sunday, we start the Advent season, looking forward to a new year, Christmas, and so on. Will you promise on this feast of Christ the King to be servant leaders? We are all leaders, not just popes and bishops and pastors. All of us are leaders by virtue of our baptism. We lead by example. Parents, godparents of these 3 beautiful girls, show them by your example today, tomorrow, and the rest of their lives what it means to be a true Catholic Christian. We serve others, we care for others, we forgive others, we are compassionate, we feed the hungry, we clothe the naked, on and on. Jesus Christ is King because he's a servant leader. May we follow in his footsteps. We should say, as did Jesus, we came not to be served, but to serve.